Talaman, Geek Talk. Let's enjoy the show. Talaman, always got a plan. Geek Talk is popping where it's really at. Represents geek culture, homie got structure. Sometimes it's vulgar, screw catch culture. Feel like Luffy, smart to say the least. Loving One Piece, man, really loves to eat. Everybody knows the show is really is Talaman. You know what time it is. Let's go, Geek Talk.
Hello, everybody. We got another wonderful guest for our show. Justin, how you doing today, brother?
Oh man, I'm doing great. Doing great. Hope you are too.
I'm doing pretty well. Before we go any further, you want to talk a bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, where people can find you?
Actually, I'm just kind of breaking into the voice acting stuff. I know I've joined you before. I'm on Fiverr now, so I'm making baby steps. But yeah, trying to do my best to make this thing side gig, maybe even a full gig. I really like voice acting and been wanting to do it for a long time. So that's it.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback on what you said. We actually did do a show back when I was doing my Talk Geek with Tyler show. We talked about how Beast Wars served as the icebreaker for all subsequent Transformers shows, whether they be Transformers Prime, Transformers Animated, the plethora of Japanese Transformers series, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, you actually taught me a lot more that I didn't even realize I didn't know about the Beast Wars whole, like, just all the subcategories and how they changed in Japan. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm glad I could educate you on the matter. And
Yeah.
it's always nice seeing another fan. It always feels like when I know a lot about something, I feel like I'm the only person that knows about that one particular show or topic. You ever feel like that?
Oh yes, absolutely. There's a lot of times I will make references and no one else gets it, and then I have to spend 10 minutes explaining things or more so that everybody understands what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but references are like jokes. Once you explain it, it just ruins it.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, it really is the case. It's like now I know how Archer feels. Which speaking of, can't believe we're on our last season. But then again, the show's really not quite the same without Mallory.
No, it's definitely not. It's definitely not. And I think they tried to be the last season, or they tried to end it a while ago, and then it came back. So who knows what the future may hold?
Well, they did say it was the end season. I mean, that's what we said about Family Guy and The
Oh
Simpsons.
yeah,
But I mean, let's face it, they're beating off that dead horse for as long as they can.
oh
Because
absolutely.
let's face it, that's Fox's basic media empire.
Oh,
And yet,
100%.
Simpsons has never won it. I'm sorry, Family Guy has never won an Emmy, but Simpsons has won plenty. But
Hmm.
Bob's Burgers has won one. So, you know what? Go
Yeah,
figure.
yeah. I love Bob's Burgers. It's really cool.
It has its moments,
Hmm.
at times a little bit cliche, but I do find it hilarious. The same guy that does play Archer also does Bob.
Oh yeah, and honestly, I've been following him since he was on, what is it, Brendan Small's Home Movies, I think it
Yeah,
was.
he was the
He was the
coach.
coach. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I like
I
that guy.
think that was like one of those stoner shows. Like you're either working the late shift, you're either a stoner,
Yeah,
or you're just a high school kid that doesn't amount to anything. Watching all
yeah,
those late
yeah.
shows, you're either
I,
some
I w-
combination of the three.
I was definitely the high school kid at the time.
Nice.
Hopefully, I've
Which,
amounted to more than I should have been.
hey, you're kind of getting into our project, so.
Yeah, and excited about that too.
And for those of you that don't know, we're working on an audio series, The Undateable X-Men. As of right now, he's got lines, or not, excuse me, three roles lined
Yeah.
up. He is our Beast, he is our Toad, and he's our Juggernaut.
Yep, and like I'm stoked. I tell all my friends about it. It's super exciting. It's super fun, and it's really cool to have my name attached to those iconic characters. It's awesome.
Did you honestly? I would really be more excited about Toad because he's going to be the Waspinator of the series.
Yes,
We're just going to
yes,
find new ways to kill him.
yeah. That's gonna be wonderful whenever it's finished to just be able
I
to
don't want to
enjoy.
give too much away, but my favorite death that I haven't planned for
Uh-huh.
is the heist episode. I don't want to give too much away,
Uh-huh.
but you just have to find out and see why that's my favorite so far.
Can't wait, man. I can't wait.
But back to the topic at hand, typecasting. Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? First off, I think we really should explain what typecasting is. Typecasting is when an actor or actress, depending on who you ask, I prefer actor. It does sound gender neutral because we don't have a Dr. S, we don't have a Teacher S, we don't have a Professor S, yet we have a Mr. and Mrs. So I guess make of that as you will.
Yeah. Yep. It's kind of a weird thing. Well, the nomenclature or whatever you want to call it for actors, actresses, things like that. Um, I don't
But
know.
we
I
do have
think if
villains
you're
and villainesses.
yeah, a villainous. Yes, exactly. It's kind of weird, and it's weird how that also I think it kind of corresponds to with typecasting. Um, like some actors, actresses, actors in general, let's just say, um, some of them are just born to do a certain thing, and it's so obvious that they're so good at a certain thing. And why should they ever give up on that? I mean, they can branch out and whatnot, but that can lead to typecasting.
Well, I don't
Um,
necessarily think that's true. I mean, many people thought that Mark Hamill was born to play Luke Skywalker,
mhm.
and then next thing we know in the 90s, he's cackling as the Joker.
And one of my favorites, to be honest. Like, if not the absolute favorite every day, it at least is most days. He is my absolute favorite Joker.
Like, if you could pick him and two other Jokers, who are your other two Jokers?
Definitely Nicholson and Ledger. Like I grew up with Nicholson, and then Heath kind of changed the game. He turned the concept on its head, and I know a lot of people really think that he's the best one. And for good reason. Like he did something different that people had not seen live action before, at least. And that was really cool to see. But it's just, man, Mark Hamill is just it's the iconic sound. That is it. If I read the comics, that's the kind of voice that I expected to come out of the Joker.
You know, interesting. I'm going to go the other way around. I would say my other two favorite Jokers would be John DiMaggio from Under the Red Hood.
Mhm.
If you haven't seen it, I strongly recommend it. And I would definitely say Brent Spiner from Young Justice, because if you look
Oh,
at Star Trek Next Generation, we see Brent Spiner as this cold, logical being, and
mhm.
then we go the exact opposite, the Joker,
Yeah.
whose emotion is just all over the place.
Yeah, just
And there's
pure
just no
touching a nerve.
reason to him. He's just madness in human form. And the fact
Yeah,
that we got somebody so talented to execute that is just brilliant.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean,
But then
it
again,
kinda shows range.
this was the man that performed Puck wonderfully in Gargoyles, which incidentally hashtag keep inching Gargoyles.
Oh, yeah. Me and my wife are huge fans of Gargoyles from when we were kids watching it and then all the way coming up. I had a chance to meet Keith David, as a matter of fact, and wonderful human being, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. He came to a local fanboy expo, and we drove up and got his autograph and things like that. And yeah, what a cool guy. He was singing and he was making sure to shake everybody's hand. But neither here nor there on that part. Um,
Was he
it's
doing
always
his
awesome.
Friends on the Other Side song?
That is not what he was humming. No. He was humming some various different like old soul music kind of stuff.
Hmm.
But I recognized it because that's what I listened to with my parents in the car. I'm originally from around the New Orleans area, and that was fairly prominent music at that time in the '80s. To age myself, but I remember that stuff, and I remember it fondly. So it was just it was lovely to hear that and to see him, humming the songs and singing along and that kind of thing.
Well, I see you, Keith David, and I raise you, me doing an episode with Greg Wiseman and
Oh,
meeting Jonathan Frakes at a
what?
convention.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So,
Yeah.
what did you have on the episode? What
We
was the
talked
episode?
about the possibility of continuing the series. We talked about his other works like Young Justice,
Mhm.
Star Wars Rebels, Spectacular Spider-Man.
Right
We
on.
talked about the comics that he worked on with the Gargoyles, which incidentally, if you haven't read the comics, I strongly suggest you should.
I
They're pretty
haven't.
good. It continues after the series. We left off not season 3. It's just how do I put this? You're an anime fan, right?
Oh yeah.
You're familiar with the term filler, right?
Filler? Like a filler episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, save for the first episode of Gargoyles, the Goliath Chronicles, all of season 3 is filler.
Wow.
Yeah, the very first episode was canonical.
Okay.
So that's the only one that really mattered.
Well, wow. See, this is why I like this. I always learn something from you.
And now you know. And knowing is half the battle.
That's right. Go Joe.
Na, na, na. But in the comics, we learn about Brooklyn's time traveling adventures, or time dancing, if you will. We find out that Maggie the cat and Elisa's brother have a child together, and we learn that Lexington is gay.
Wow. That's some big reveals.
Yeah, but not only that, we also get to the what happens before the whole Castle Laverne decimation.
Oh.
You know, back when the gargoyle who would be named Hudson leads the clan.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Which, speaking
I'm gonna
of
have to get
Ed
into that.
Asner,
Uh-huh.
a lot of his roles, from what I've noticed, he's the grouchier old guy, whether it be Hudson or Carl from Up.
Mhm.
I mean, those are the two prominent examples I have in mind. He's always grouchy.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those things. If
Oh,
your
J.
voice,
Jonah Jameson from the
oh
90s
yeah,
Spider-Man series.
yeah, exactly. And you know, I think that's one of those things I was talking about with if it's like you were born to do something, or you just have that natural innate like something that really kind of can help typecast you. I mean, that can help out. Honestly, I'm a little middle of the fence on it because there's some things like that that definitely will play to somebody's advantage. But oh my goodness, what is her name? Was it Glenn Close?
Well, what movie are we describing?
Well, I was thinking about her from Hook, and nobody knew that she was the bearded guy that was locked in the trunk with the scorpions. And it's just like those kind of things make me middle of the road when it comes to typecasting, because even though she's, taking female roles all the time, and that seems to be, what she identifies as, and it seems to be like that's what's going on. I think that's an iconic
Well, you
scene.
say when she identifies as, was this, before when the trans movement came out?
Oh, definitely. Because Hook was out in what, 95,
Well, Robin
96?
Williams was alive, so yes.
Right, yeah, so it was back in the 90s, so this is
Rest in
much before
power.
that. Oh, yes, absolutely. He's one of my heroes, as a matter of fact, one of the guys that made me wanna do voices, but,
Well, here's
I
a little
remember.
fun fact for you. Did you
Okay.
know Aladdin couldn't win Best Original Script because he kept improvising the genie's lines?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And what a great job he did, but that's lame. That is horrible that they couldn't win because of that. I
I mean,
mean,
would you
come
rather
on.
he go on script?
I would rather him get, some kind of, credit for co-writing, and then they can
How
win
about
it
the
or
fact
something,
that he only
you know?
received a fraction of what he would normally make because he wanted something to leave for his children? I mean, that's kind of impressive.
Now that I had heard about, and that's just one of many things that I love about the guy in his own time, not just as an actor, like things that he chose to do personally. You know what I mean? What a sweet guy, man.
He really was, and it's really upsetting to hear what happened about him.
Absolutely, it is.
But
Um,
speaking of Robin Williams, this does bring another movie to mind, and subsequently another actor.
okay,
Tim, have you ever heard of Ferngully?
Ferngully, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that's the only movie that comes to mind that has both Robin Williams and Tim Curry that doesn't get enough credit.
Wow,
It
yeah,
also
that's
has
right.
Tommy and Cheech Chong in it. Or it's Tommy Chong and Cheech Marin. That's it. I mixed up the names.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's not as big of a deal.
I mean, I always like seeing either one of those guys in something, especially because I think that they're usually slept on by just being a skeevy stoner duo.
Well, I mean,
Um,
they were both in Disney movies, but neither of them were in the same Disney movie. They were both going to be in The Lion King, but that kind of got
oh,
slipped by the wayside.
okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean, Robin's one of those guys that can kind of go back to the same thing with the typecasting. Everybody just thinks he's a comedian. Everybody just thought he was funny, and then you kind of saw towards like the end of his life slash career that he started getting more dramatic roles. I mean, you don't even have to look at like Good Will Hunting or something like that because the man made me cry in that movie. But what was that? August Rush, I think it was.
I
He was
believe so.
essentially the
Don't quote me.
villain. Yeah, he was essentially the villain, and he was so good because I hated him and I loved him in anything else that he's ever done. His portrayal of anything had made me like really grow attached to the character. Of course, it was also the role that he had. But then you switch him over to more of a villainous role or a villain role, and there he is. He's knocking out of the park. He's iconic there too. So like typecasting him as just somebody who can do comedy or just someone who could be the good guy. Like he could still do it all. And that's where it comes into play with like it doesn't have to be just a gender thing. It doesn't have to be a sexuality thing. It does not have to be anything like that. Sometimes you're just good at something out of the gate and you'll still get typecast. And that just goes to show,
Well,
like
I
with
mean, I
him.
think the same thing can be said with voice actors, especially
Mhm.
when you have an accent.
Oh, yes. Yes, absolutely. Jeremy Irons, I can pick out his voice anywhere, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
And it's perfect, but I don't think he does voices. I think that's just him,
I mean,
and
like
that's
his
what he
only
gives.
voice I can think of was Scar from The Lion King.
Yep.
But like, although to be fair, the only time he really didn't do Scar in Lion King was when he was singing in Be Prepared and his voice crapped out halfway through,
Yeah,
and Jim
yeah.
Cummings had to fill the rest of it.
Right,
But you
right,
gotta
and
say, that's very talented. Gotta give the man credit on that part.
oh, absolutely, absolutely, and Jim's an amazing voice work guy too.
Now that is a man with range. Darkwing
Oh my
Duck,
goodness.
Ed from The Lion King, both Winnie the Pooh and Tigger, uh, the infamous pirate Don Carnage from
Yeah, and
Tailspin.
Raymond from, Princess and the Frog.
Oh yeah, right, that
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Oh, the original Leatherhead.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure they sound so similar.
Mhm. Yeah, he has a certain sound even when
Oh,
he's
Dingo
changing the
from
way he's going.
Gargoyles.
Oh! Oh, yeah! Oh my goodness, yes!
Now I'm starting to
Oh,
think,
wow.
was that a Wiseman choice or is that you know what, Disney, we got this guy and everything. Do you want to put Jim Cummings in Gargoyles too? Try to figure out where he goes.
It's like he's on staff, put him in everything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it would be weird to have him as a gargoyle. So you just want to make him an Australian guy?
Yep, fantastic. Yeah, he's definitely something to aspire to if you're into any of this stuff with voice or anything like that. But therein, like if he only got one of those parts and then he kept getting the same kind of accent over and over again, look at everything that we would have all missed out on as the consumers of this entertainment. If he was typecast too much in the beginning based on one or two voices and no one ever wanted to hear the rest of them.
Oh yeah,
In
but
a in
then
an
there are
office.
characters like James Hong,
Mhm.
who's definitely got a very thick Asian accent,
Yes.
always typecasted when he does voice acting as Asian characters, like Poe's dad
Hmm.
from the Kung Fu Panda series, or
Yes,
Dao Long Wang if you ever seen Jackie Chan Adventures.
I did. Hmm.
Then you
Yep.
may want to check out our ranking of Shendu's talisman. Number one may surprise you.
Okay. All right. I definitely will.
And he was also did a number of characters on the Avatar films, not film series, on the Avatar series.
Yeah, I do remember him from the Avatar series. I mean, honestly, when I think of him though, I actually think Big Trouble in Little China.
I also think it's funny that he was what you call it. I'm going to discuss this in an upcoming episode, but I feel like he was one of the quote unquote wasted actors in The Big Bang Theory, and that sounds
Oh,
confusing, but
yeah.
they had a lot of actors, a lot of guest stars in The Big
Yes.
Bang Theory, and some of them they played themselves. Mark Hamill, um,
Leonard Nimoy.
Leonard Nimoy. I'm not sure if he made an appearance or if he was just referenced. LeVar Burton,
Mhm.
James Earl Jones, and just to name a few.
Oh yeah.
But then there were characters that didn't play themselves, like Sean Astin, for
Okay.
example.
Yep.
The guy who played Harold from Harold and Kumar.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, which that was kind of a wasted opportunity. They could have either gotten the two hobbits or Harold and Kumar in the final season.
Right. I mean, at that point, they had made sure that the show was a hit. They should have been able to call that shot.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that was a wasted opportunity.
Yeah, for sure.
Which, fun fact for you, did you know that the first time they served vegetarian burgers in White Castle was in the White Castle movie?
Really?
Yeah, John chose a vegetarian.
Wow. Yep. Didn't know that.
But let me ask you something. We're getting a whole bunch of remakes right now. Remake Lion King, Little Mermaid,
Yeah.
Cinderella. Nobody asks for these, but yet they still make huge numbers in the box office.
Hmm.
Do you think things like sexuality, ethnicity, whatever should play a factor in these roles?
And it's a tough question because I think that anybody should get a chance to do something if they're good enough at it, and it shouldn't really matter in as a baseline. But then sometimes it doesn't necessarily match the story. And I know a lot of people were really upset, especially like the Little Mermaid. I had heard a lot of upset people about it, and then a lot of people who were upset just because anyone was upset at it. And I'm thinking, maybe that's not the way you envisioned it, right? But if the people are talented enough and they can pull off the roles and they can make it entertaining and they can draw you in and elicit emotional reaction from viewing this, um, eliciting emotional reaction from some sort of art form, that's what makes it art to me. So that's a very low bar as far as things go. If anyone has a reaction to it, then it's good because of that. So I mean, I think that if you can do the job and you can perform in the way that someone needs you to perform, it doesn't matter. Now that being said, I have my own preferences. When I imagine Ursula, for instance, I imagine like Hercules, the ladies who sang on the pottery. It
Oh,
was
okay. I wasn't sure. I thought you
sultry.
meant like somebody who could perform Hercules, but also be Hercules. Like he
Oh
has
no
some sort
no
of Hemsworth
no
being.
no no no
Because
no
hey, it's the 20s. We're being very progressive right now.
right. I mean, honestly, like, hey, try it out. If we have the modern day Arnold, try it out. But in my mind, I was thinking that like that was the perfect opportunity to bring someone who was like African American or something like that into it because it just seems like a soul singing, grew up in the church singing. They always have like people who grew up in the church singing, they have a sound. And it's so good to me. And I think that they're so incredibly talented. And I would imagine Ursula being that sassy, soul singing kind of character.
But she's
Um,
purple.
and she's purple. Yes, I know. But
Although
that
maybe
would
she didn't get enough oxygen.
yeah, maybe, yeah, maybe the she's too deep in the seas, and she's not getting a lot of oxygenated water down there. Um, but yeah, I mean that would have been a perfect example. Of course, that's not how they cast it, and I'm not really mad at the movie at all.
Honestly, my
But
two biggest gripes is that they even made it. Not because well, my biggest problem is I'm not really a fan of remakes in general. I mean,
yes,
look, let's call spade a spade. Disney has the talent to make art. We all know this.
hmm,
Whether it's original TV series content, not just with shows of yesteryear, even shows of modern ages, like say Amphibia, Gravity Falls, Owl House.
oh
Those
yeah,
are just to name a few. But it's investing its money in these reboots, and they're just casting modern day film actors, of which only a fraction of these movies are really well. Also, they got Aquafina in it, so it's like, really, that's the bar you're setting for yourself, Aquafina?
I do like her like whatever from Queens or whatever that was that show that she did. I kind of liked the show. It was kind
I
of
wanted
dinky and
to,
stupidy,
but
and
it just kind of dragged on.
I'll be honest, Grandma was my favorite character on that. She sold it for me because she was so sarcastic and everything else. It was great.
I
Um,
think my issue with Aquafina is that you have to both see and hear her to enjoy her. But
that's
if you're
fair.
doing one or the other,
Yeah.
then you're not really. If you're only hearing her, then you're
Yeah.
not really doing it.
Yeah, she has some good looks and faces and things like that and mannerisms that go along with what she's saying. And yeah, that's the whole package. You can't do one or the other. I agree. I agree.
Indeed, but I feel like she kind of gets typecasted a lot.
Mhm. I mean, even Nora from Queens, that's what it was. Even that, it's definitely centered around the fact that it is a Asian community, at least strictly surrounded by them. That's the story. And I can understand that you want an Asian person doing an Asian centered show. That's great. That's perfect.
I
I mean,
mean,
there it is.
unless we're welcoming Yellowface.
I mean, right, right. I mean, no, I mean, who else could pull off something like that than like Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder? I mean,
Or, I don't
even
know,
then,
is transracial a thing?
I don't know anymore. I
Well, I mean,
really don't know anymore.
South Park predicted transsexuals like way back in the 2000s. So
Hmm.
who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah,
They
yeah,
also, but they also had a thing where Kyle was he was a white felt like he was a black kid in a white kid's body, and then
yes,
Gerald was a dolphin trapped in a man's body.
right.
So who
Yeah.
knows?
I mean, I say if you're comfortable with it or uncomfortable with it, change it or keep it the same or embrace it or do whatever you got to do. But when it comes to entertainment and actually being cast in a certain thing or something like that,
So wait, are you
I mean,
saying
it
we should
comes
have
down to talent.
mutates?
Go for it. If you're into it, go for it. That's what I say. I'm also about, the idea of like the regular Olympics, but also the drug Olympics. Like,
Which,
yeah, take as
funny
much
enough, was also
testosterone as you
another
want to.
great
Go
South
get it.
Park episode, by the way.
Oh, what's it?
It
Oh,
was. There was
oh
this
man.
woman, and I'm air quoting it
Uh-huh.
because I have nothing against the trans community, by the way, but
Oh, yeah.
she just started identifying as a woman
Uh-huh.
2 weeks ago, right before the Strong Woman Olympics, and you see this big ass Randy-esque savage looking woman
Yeah.
dominating the competition.
Yeah. I mean, and see, that's such a touchy subject too, because a lot of people feel passionately about it. And it honestly, I'm not, that's where I kind of struggle because I like to have these opinions, and everybody's got an opinion over everything, whether you voice it or not. And you just can't help it. Those are thoughts that run through everyone's head. Um, I'm not sure how fair that is even in real life, but then again, I don't know how unfair it is either because I'm no expert on the subject, and it's definitely strange and changing times, and I don't know if it's strange and changing for the good or for the better,
I think this
or
is
for the
something
worse.
Futurama predicted.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it was with Bender and the robot games.
Oh, yeah. That's right. That's right. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, Matt
Oh,
Groening has a way of predicting the future.
it's
Or would it
strange.
technically be the past, since it
It,
already happened?
See, there you go. I mean, The Simpsons are wonderful at predicting the future and weird events that we would think, oh, that'll never happen. That's just funny. And then lo and behold, 10 to 15 years later, we're seeing this stuff happen.
Hashtag President Trump.
Yeah, that's one of them. That's for sure.
I mean, that's definitely the most president situation.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Mhm. But I mean, if we're speaking about voicing things, I think it's, I would say it's definitely a lot easier not to get typecasted as a voice actor
Mm,
than as an actor. I mean,
yeah.
let's take a look at some of the great voice actors: Mel Blanc, Frank
Hmm.
Welker, Steve Bloom.
Hmm.
They all have various characters to their name and repertoire.
Yeah, just tons and tons. I mean, you're basically listing off my childhood kind of thing. Like that's who I would watch. That's who I would listen to on cartoons and stuff like that. I mean, and they did all kinds of voices.
Right. And
But
even we in the episode we did, the Beast Wars one, Scott
Mhm,
McNeil had 4 different voices.
mhm.
Dinobot, Rat Trap, Silverbolt, and funny enough, Waspinator.
Yeah, which was my favorite.
Now it's funny enough, he was supposed to die off in season 1,
Uh-huh.
but the thing is, the fans liked him too much. They killed off Pterosaur instead.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but
Oh.
because the producers hated the way he spoke, even though they said, "We want you to speak like this,"
Uh-huh.
they just find new ways to kill him. So I would say he's the Kenny of Beast Wars, but technically speaking, he came out before Kenny did.
Yeah, very true. And I've thought about stuff like that before where people are voicing all these different things, and that definitely shows what they can do. So I guess that's less likely, especially in voice versus acting, like you were talking about. Um, Voice is harder to typecast because of that. But my question would be, is it harder to typecast somebody who's doing only voice, or did the industry kind of when it came about just standardize the fact that you are working on this project, so I need you to do 5, 6, 4, whatever voices
Well,
because
if I may, to quote Rob Paulson, and I apologize in advance if this sounds dirty, voice acting is, in a sense, little v, big A.
okay.
And a lot of the people that I've had audition for the various roles for the X-Men series are not only actors,
Mhm.
but have multiple roles within said series.
Oh, yeah.
You're one of those actors,
Yeah.
or just an example.
Oh, yeah. And I've tried my hand at normal, I guess, in-person acting, not just voice. And I just
I mean,
found that I
honestly,
like voice
voice
better.
acting is just way more underrated than traditional acting is.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that because I agree.
I mean, I will admit that traditional acting is a lot harder because you got
Mhm,
to put all of your body in it.
mhm.
But anyway, voice acting is a lot trickier, a lot more complex because you got to focus everything specifically here
Mhm.
as well as the rest of your body.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know if you
And
can
for those of you
tell.
that couldn't see me, well, obviously nobody can see me except my co-host. I was pointing to my throat.
Yeah, and, I'm sure that you're seeing me because 'cause you're the only one that's me. I talk with my hands a lot, and that's just part of
So
the
that's very
thing.
Trumpian of you.
Over here. I don't know if that's a compliment or not.
Oh,
But
I assure you that is 110% a compliment.
well, thank you. But I talk my hands a lot, and I have to kinda move even whenever I'm acting, voice acting, I have to move, and sometimes I move away from the mic and I have to re-record something purely because I was kinda getting too into it, and I moved my head too much.
I guess in
Um
some perverse way, that's a good thing
Mhm.
because
I
you're
think you
getting
can hear
so
it.
involved in the what you're doing. Bad thing is you got to re-record it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And
So
and I
little
mean,
column
I
A,
think
little
it's
column
a
B.
well, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's one of those things that, where yourself, you've been, so kind as to, appreciate what I'm trying to do, and, the things that I've went in for with you, and again, have 3 roles, so, obviously you appreciate me on some degree.
Well, I mean,
Um
look, I'm not going to give a role just to check off a box.
Mhm,
I mean, I gave myself a couple of roles
mhm.
because I felt like I could do it. Like, we have an episode upcoming with the Brood, and I
Oh.
go to the zoo with my parents, and I'm really trying to practice a lot of animal noises. I did an ep. I'm taking. Have you ever heard of Bloom Fox Studios?
That sounds so familiar.
It's the class Steve Bloom is teaching.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and one of the classes he mentions is if you want to make animalistic noises, like say Frank Welker does or D.
Mhm,
Bradley Baker does, is
mhm.
pretend you're having a conversation. My roommate is a cat, and you can only talk to her for so long. So I went to the Bronx Zoo with my folks. My niece loves it. And I tried having a conversation with, like, say, the rhinos, the tigers, a whole bunch of other those animals.
Right on. Did any of them respond?
A couple of them.
Awesome. Awesome. I'd say you're on the right track then.
Yeah, and I do try to, in a sense, talk to the animals around here, like squirrels and deer. I try to not talk to the dogs people walk because I don't need people to give me weird ass looks.
Oh, yeah. I mean, anytime somebody says something about squirrels or talking to them or whatever, I can't think of anything but Kronk, like that whole squeak, squeak, or squeak, squeaking. Like that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
I gotta say that's a good Patrick Warburton.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't
I
feel
gotta
that I
say
hit it on the mark.
he's another typecasted character.
Oh, yeah.
Like
But
if
what
the
an iconic voice.
DCAU did a what you call it, did another recasting. First off,
Uh-huh.
I'm going to say it's going to be very difficult to recast Batman because of the whole rest in power Kevin Conroy,
Uh-huh.
as well as Harley Quinn, rest in power.
Oh,
Oh,
absolutely.
there's nothing to think about it. Holy shit, we lost a lot of great people in the Batman the
Yeah.
Animated Series.
Yeah. I've seen a bunch of stuff online about like protect Mark Hamill at all costs because we don't need the trifecta gone.
I will sacrifice a Kardashian to make sure he stays alive for at least another decade.
Put me on the list. I'll do the same.
I mean,
Like,
I'm not saying you should actively kill one, but if it
no,
helps,
this is not a threat.
no, it's not a threat. God, no, I don't want to be that person, but
Yeah.
the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Amen, brother. ...
Dot, dot, dot. Which, speaking of Star Trek actors, I kind of felt like got typecasted a lot.
Yeah, a lot of them were serious,
I would
like
say
put the
more
weird,
so
serious
original
sci-fi roles.
series than the Next Gen series.
Um, oh yeah, for sure. I mean, if it didn't have anything science fictiony about it or whatever, or if it wasn't poking fun at that actor's career in some fashion, it seemed like you didn't see them.
Right,
They
like
just weren't around.
like Leonard Nimoy, for example. His
Mhm.
most prominent roles I can think of were or Spock from the
Yep.
Star Trek, and as Galvatron from Transformers the movie.
Mhm. Mhm. Now, didn't Leonard Nimoy also do a lot of audiobooks?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. He did
Which,
have a very deep and soothing voice, so that was nice.
yeah, like a white James Earl Jones.
Yeah. Oh, good description. Yes, sir. Yeah, that is very fair. That is a fair assessment.
I'm tough but fair. But which I think it's which I gotta say, I feel like a lot of black voices also get typecast.
Mhm.
Like, if we were going to anthropomorphize certain animals, Donkey would obviously be a black guy, right? Just by voice alone.
It worked so well. That's kind of what I lean to at this point.
I mean, that's what they did for the Broadway show.
Okay. I
If
mean,
you
they
haven't
did it with
seen,
Shrek, you know? I mean, that was just that it started
not that I'm
there.
nitpicking or anything.
No.
It just kind of sounds like
Oh,
it would
yeah.
be.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not sure what kinda goes into that either. I've thought about similar things like, is it the look of the final character? Is it a mannerism? Is it the style of the show that means that they need to look for people who fit into that kinda box? I'm unclear on it personally on how any of that stuff gets
Well,
picked
even when
out, but
typecasting, even for animated characters, um, like you saw the Finding Dory movie.
actually, I didn't.
Okay, well, quick spoiler. I don't. It's funny that somehow they gave Dory's father a hairline, even though they're fish.
Like a fin line, or is it like a little
Yeah.
swath of hair?
Well, it's kind of like the black stripe is all the way back,
Okay, okay.
so it made it
So
seem like the fish was balding.
fantastic. See,
And
that's
funny
another thing
enough,
that's
played by one of the best dads in modern media, Eugene Levy.
oh, yes.
Which
God.
kind of is that a typecasting moment?
Maybe because he does play a lot of dads and a lot, especially a lot of like,
The American Pie movies, that
yeah,
Greg the Bunny
awkward.
series, if you remember that.
Yes, I do. Yeah, the awkward dad who means well, but usually is going to be klutzy about something or put his foot in his
Oh,
mouth when he's talking, and
that Dozen remake. That one, remember back?
the dozen.
It's like that family that had a dozen kids.
Oh, Cheaper by the Dozen.
That's it.
Yeah.
They were the antagonizing family.
Okay.
He was in that, I believe.
I can't. I do remember Steve Martin.
Yeah, it was Steve Martin and Eugene Levy. Which
Was he the co-football coach?
I think so, but I
Okay.
do believe there are moments when typecast. I will agree with you. Typecasting does work in one's favor.
Mhm.
Rodney Dangerfield is an excellent example of this.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he may have been a wood trick pony, but what a trick!
Hey, it's a good trick.
Yeah.
Caddyshack, Back to School,
Rover Dangerfield.
Over Dangerfield.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, he was a basset hound, but
Yeah.
Eh.
I mean, it still had the look.
You
It looked
dog,
like
same
him in dog
tricks.
form.
So honestly, if he was a dog, you know what? No, okay. I would have assumed basset hound.
I mean, it works. It
Well,
works. I mean, he was always kind of had a belly. He had the big eyes. It works.
he always had that face where he was surprised.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, which another one, rest in power, though. I think his was of old age, so
Yes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
he was in
it
his
was.
70s.
Yeah. He was an older guy because I think Little Nicky was the last thing that he did.
Yeah, I think one of the lines in hell he mentioned was, "Even in hell, I get no respect."
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. I mean, it would not be any kind of, show or anything with Rodney Dangerfield if he didn't mention that he gets no respect. Like, would it even be Rodney?
Hey, listen, as long as you can make fun of yourself, then honestly, then you're a good comedian in my book.
Right on.
But if you can't
Yep.
take a joke, are you a comedian? Or if you're the only one laughing at your own jokes?
I mean, that kind of go. It's almost like a philosophical question, but for the sake of entertainment in that level, I think you got to be able to laugh at yourself as well as having laughing at someone else. Because if it doesn't go both ways, you can't just protect yourself from all of the comedy. Comedy is like akin to tragedy. You know what I mean? Like we've all got it going on.
Right, that's why Batman and Joker work so well.
Yep. It is a true
Which, again, the
dichotomy
whole
that
Mark
works.
Hamill and Kevin Conroy dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Which I actually saw him last year at a Terrificon.
Oh.
Yeah, which was even more upsetting when I found out he died in November of last year. My birthday weekend, of all things. Like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
But regardless,
Oh.
First off, when I asked him about if he ever saw himself working with Luke Skywalker, you could definitely tell the amount of enthusiasm he put into that question.
Oh, really? So what did he have to say on that?
It's just, felt like a whole different experience. It's just, you always got to keep up with his energy while somehow trying to maintain and keep up with your energy.
Mm-hmm.
Because he is the Joker.
Yeah, so he basically raised the bar for him.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
I mean, we've had all these Jokers in the past. We've had Jack Nicholson.
Mm-hmm.
We've had the Adam West Joker, whose name's escaping me right now.
It does me too. I know that it's something Latin, and I can't think of it.
We've had the Justice Friends Joker.
Yes.
Yeah, the one that definitely looks too cartoony.
Yeah. And did anybody ever voice the what was it? It was like the future Joker where he had stapled somebody else's face on his kind of thing. I don't know who voiced that one.
That's I don't remember that one.
Yeah, I can't place that one. But yeah, we've had a lot of iterations of that, and the Bat. I mean, along with a lot of other superheroes, there's been other iterations of it, like with the rebooting and stuff. there's always several different iterations.
I
of
honestly just think we need a Batman movie where we get Michael Keaton as old Bruce Wayne, and
Oh
we
yeah.
just like get a freaking Batman Beyond movie. I mean,
Oh
Jesus
yeah.
Christ, and that way it's a happy compromise. We
I
get
have
a
been hoping for that
reboot,
forever.
but we get something new.
Yes, sir. Yep. I've been hoping for that forever.
Hey, you
Whenever
and me
they said that he
both.
was coming back to DC before they announced that he was gonna be in The Flash,
Though
I was
funny
like,
enough, that
"Oh my
actually
god, it's
was.
now."
Though funny enough, that actually was Will Friedel's very first voiceover role.
Really?
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. No, that's definitely he's definitely not a typecaster. I mean, you got somebody as dark and edgy as Terry McGinnis, but then you
Mhm.
got somebody as goofy as Ron Stoppable.
Yeah. And there you go. Like, if somebody chose to typecast him, you'd never see what he could do there.
No, but then we got the reluctant leader that is Lionel and Bumblebee.
Mm. Oh, really? Lion-O is Bumblebee and Lion-O the same voice actor?
Yeah, Bumblebee at the very end of Transformers Prime
Uh-huh.
and the subsequent Transformers Robots in Disguise series,
Uh-huh.
and Lion-O in the first Thundercats reboot. We
Oh,
don't
the
discuss about
reboot.
the latter one.
Okay. All right. No, I mean, I literally ran around my house and as even a toddler and was just like, "Thundercats, ho!" Loved Thundercats when I was a kid. So, yeah, sorry, that caught my attention big time.
Hey, it's all good, man. But but no, but even then, it just kind of shows you that voice actors can range. Rob Paulson is definitely not one of those people. He's got what, two different turtles under his belt.
Mhm.
He's got an Animaniac.
Yeah.
Um, one of the aliens in Ben's watch. No, scratch that. A couple of aliens in Ben's watch.
Okay. No, that makes sense now. Yep. Wow.
Although to be fair, one of them sounds exactly like Yakko. So
Yeah, I mean, well, see, that's one of those things where he has a very specific sound, and
well, it's
no
very
matter what
cartoony,
voice he's
which it
doing,
works.
yeah, no matter what he's doing, it still comes out, but it doesn't mean he can't do a lot of different things.
It's
So
cartoony yet sarcastic,
right, yeah.
and it worked well for him.
Mhm,
And for a man that had to deal with voice cancer, got to tell you, I met him in person,
mhm.
and one of the very few celebrities I met outside of a convention. One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. I swear to God.
Yeah, I saw him at a panel at a convention, and he thanked everybody, like, for 5 or 10 minutes. He just went on and on and on, and you can tell he really appreciates the fact that people still enjoy him and want anything to do with him, and he's just overjoyed to be who he is and to be a part of anything, and I think that's the greatest way to approach any of that. It's so nice and so refreshing to have somebody so nice, doing that kinda work.
You know, it really is. It kind of shows you how much you're appreciated.
Mhm. Yep.
But
Oftentimes, we're always telling those people how much we appreciate them, and he was kind enough to tell us how much he appreciated us. I mean,
I'm gonna give you something. Have you ever seen Invader Zim?
yes, yeah, yeah.
Okay, Richard Horvitz.
Uh-huh.
When it comes to his vocal work, do you think he gets typecasted?
I mean, I would say, yeah, at least to some degree.
I mean, he's done Zim from Invader Zim, arguably one of his more famous roles.
Mhm,
Both Moxie and Crimson from the Hell of a Boss series on YouTube. Definitely check that out if you haven't.
I have not.
Oh, definitely check it out. That show's had a lot of great talent.
Okay.
James Monroe Eaglehart, Alex Bryan, Jonathan Freeman, believe it or not.
Really?
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
God. Yep. Nope. That completely slipped under my radar. I'm gonna have to go back and check that out. Yeah.
Yeah, they just
Uh,
released the latest episode as of this recording this weekend.
oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I have a lot to catch up on then.
Well, I'm sure
Man.
you're a busy guy, but that's definitely a show I recommend. But back to Horvitz. What else? Daggett from the Angry Beavers. Both
Yes.
Billy and his dad.
I mean,
The original Gray Matter in Ben 10.
Mm, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Goodness. Wow. Yeah, I mean, if again, I think that he's got something there. Like, there's some things that he's really good at, but you can always hear it in his voice, and they're almost typecasting, but, uh, some of those folks that just have a little bit of their voice, and no matter what different character voice they're doing, that's what makes it difficult for me to make a decision on whether it's typecast or not, only because they either have that certain something, that, je ne sais quoi, something
Well,
going on.
there's a difference between hearing their voice
Mhm,
and difference between being typecasting.
mhm.
Like let's take a look at Johnny Depp for a second, if I may.
Sure.
He was a pirate. He
Mhm,
was a hatter.
mhm,
He was a chocolate maker.
mhm.
He was a scissor hand guy.
Yep. He was
He was
Crybaby.
Crybaby. All
Yeah.
these other characters. But I personally don't think he's a human chameleon. I think he's basically a one-trick pony.
Really?
He is the one weird eccentric dude that's still trying to sleep with the director, even though that director's married, and they keep trying to kill the director's wife on the set.
I mean, he and Tim Burton definitely have something going on there. Like, they are close, and they are always working together.
Like if you told
Uh,
me him, Helena Carter, and Johnny Depp are having casual sex every other day, like just the three of them, it's like, why are you telling me this? That would be my first surprise. They're like,
yeah.
oh yeah, okay. I mean that wouldn't be that surprising. They're
No,
obviously
that would
that
not surprise
close.
me. That would
No,
not
no,
surprise me at all. No.
no. I mean, he keeps trying to kill her every episode, so there's some sort of love hate relationship going on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I've seen him do a lot of weird things, with
Oh
the
come
way
on,
that
can
he
you name
moves.
one Johnny Depp movie where he was quote unquote normal?
Normal? Oh, goodness, no. No,
You
no.
know,
He is
like
definitely
let's
the
just
weird
say
guy.
I don't know, like let's just say he's like in an Adam Sandler movie. Pretend
Uh-huh.
he's an Adam Sandler role.
Oh, man, that's hard to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, like, okay, so he's definitely always the weirdo.
Right?
But he doesn't act it the same, and I gotta give that to him. Like, he doesn't ever
Well,
do 2
act
roles
the same or
exactly the
dress
same.
up the same.
Act the same even. I mean, what about the weird hands and stuff with pirates? And then, he couldn't even do any of that stuff with Edward Scissorhands. He was very stoic. He wasn't over the top. He didn't have a quirk of movement per se. It was because he had to stay so still because of the hands. The most quirk of movement that you saw to that is whenever he started cutting everybody's bushes, and then the haircuts and things like that.
Okay.
Um,
I'll give him some credit there.
in Crybaby, for instance, like, I didn't really like that movie a lot, but I remember it. And he tried to come off as just the really cool guy, and that was the mannerisms, the facial expression, all of that was going on right there. What's Eating Gilbert Grape was probably one of his most normal and serious kind of things.
Yeah, but
And
that's when he was like a kid.
right, yeah,
And
yeah.
also that was a very depressing film.
Oh, it absolutely was. It absolutely was. I mean, I liked him a lot in Blow, for instance. That was a pretty good one where he was almost normal, but if you took him and, like, kind of made him a gangster out of him almost because of all the drug dealing and stuff. I mean, I think that he was completely different in those roles, and having him be able to portray that in action, voice, mannerisms, the whole bit. I think he's fairly versatile. It's just that he wants to only do the weird stuff because that's fun, and his station in Hollywood, the business, whatever, just allows him that opportunity.
Well, the most normal thing he's done is divorce Amber Heard.
Oh my god! Oh, and he couldn't have done that quicker. Like, he should have never even got involved with her. Oh my
Well,
goodness.
people don't know what they're getting into half the time.
True.
So I mean, I'm sure she would. No, I'm not defending her by any means, but I'm sure she was a very lovely person when they first met.
Mhm.
But clearly something went wrong. Clearly she lost her shit. No pun
Oh yeah.
intended.
Oh, intended. It's better that way.
Okay, yeah, intended. And ipso facto, so they got divorced.
Yeah.
But let me ask something. Have you heard of fan casting?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I've done so a million times, just daydreaming.
Do you believe fan casting leads to typecasting?
Wow.
Because I see a lot of stuff on Facebook on how, say, Jamie Lee Curtis would be a really good Dr. Kreha for season 2 of One Piece live action.
Oh, that could definitely work. Um, I don't know if fan casting is going to lead to or leads to typecasting. Um, I am a big proponent for some of the studios and stuff, especially with the reboots and everything else that's going on, should probably listen to social media or whatever they can get it on, where people are actually voicing their opinions on fan casting.
Yeah, but should they though? Because they keep saying, let's do an Atlantis remake with frickin' Tom Holland and Zeldana. And I'm like, why?
Yeah, but I think specifically that's one of those things where people are just fans of them. Not necessarily wanting to select the right cast for that product,
I mean,
that project.
why? Because he's a scrawny white guy and she's a dark skinned girl?
I think
That's
that's it. Like
it?
they are fans of those people and they like to follow them, not unlike people who follow the Kardashians or anybody else, and they happen to fit the bill. That's it. I think that's why people ask for that. And that in that way, yeah, typecasting, totally, because they're just looking at them and they're like, that fits. Plug them in. Um, but I mean, there's
So
a
it's
lot of stuff.
so it's just an assumption. Like just because they were good in one thing automatically means they're good in another.
Right. Yeah, and they may not even want to do that, and I know that most of us have figured out in life, if you don't want to do something, you're not ever really gonna be great at it.
Well, I mean, there's faking it.
There is the fake it till you make it. The problem is, I've noticed that if you fake it too long, you never make it. You just fizzle out.
Okay, that's definitely a fair assessment.
Mhm,
Like, I know there's some people that hated working with certain actors, like
mhm.
Christy Carlson Romano hated working with Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, I've heard about him a lot, though. He can be very difficult. So people say.
I mean, the reason why, if you think it looks like we had a good set, well, that's because I was acting.
I mean, well, then kudos to anybody who can say that about anything, because that's kind of a mark of a great
And
actor right
honestly,
there.
I'm not trying to take his side, but I kind of do feel bad for him
Mhm.
because a lot of the everyday man, woman, and that technicolor in between doesn't understand what it's like to be an actor.
Oh, no, and especially one that goes so hard and is so passionate about it.
And
Um,
especially when you're a child actor of all things.
oh, yeah, I mean, look at how many child actors have just ruined their lives
Ruined
because
their
they
lives or
too much.
died early, like that girl that was Ducky from The Land Before Time.
Oh. Oh, yes, yeah, that's super sad,
Super
super sad.
tragic.
Yes, absolutely.
She had like two roles, and her father accidentally killed her.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that.
Well, yeah, well, that happened over 20 years ago, so I think we're
Yeah,
safe.
yeah. I don't know. That it's
It
just one
still
of those
leaves a
things.
sour taste in your mouth, though. I'm gonna acknowledge this.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
Oh,
that I actually did put that on their tombstone, though.
oh, really?
Yep. Yeah,
That is pretty sweet, though. That's nice.
it is, but it is funny when you think about it. Like actors we do see of yesteryear
Mhm.
do have nods. Like we were discussing Little Mermaid earlier, right?
Right.
Jodie, I didn't see it, but I heard that she made an appearance in the live action remake.
Really?
Yeah, it's like it's not like an obvious
Mm.
Stanley cameo. You
Uh-huh.
just got to notice it.
Oh, I got you. Definite Easter egg kind of situation. Like
Yeah,
you really got to kind of look for it, and then you know if you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then she was also the girl that voiced Barbie in the Toy Story movies.
Mm.
I think she did like one
I
other
didn't know
Disney
that.
princess. Don't quote me on
Huh.
that. But yeah, that's definitely a good example of typecasting right there. Well, hell, even anime voice actors are not shy of
Oh yeah.
by not just in America, even the Japanese ones. Like I'm probably going to be butchering the name here, and I really apologize for this. Ikue Otani. She's voiced several cutesy characters because her voice is so feminine.
Hmm.
Characters like Pikachu, Zatch Bell, Konohamaru, and Chopper, just to name a
Hmm.
few, which is definitely a typecasting situation right there. But
Yeah,
so a
yeah.
lot of people think of typecasting as an American thing. It's not.
Yeah. I mean, I think that again, sometimes some people fall into roles like that, that it just makes sense. But I'm also kind of curious, like the behind the scenes stuff. Like, is it true typecasting if they only go after those types of roles to begin with? And then people have seen that they've done that role before, so they're more likely to hire them. And they may be typecasting that actor, but would they be doing it and typecasting them in the first place if that actor didn't want to do that type of role?
So you're saying it's like, is it a chicken or the egg kind of situation?
Right. That's what makes it tough for me. That's why I kind of lay in the middle a little bit because it's like it's so tough to discern.
Which, first off, I'm going to suggest for you. Do you have Max, formerly known as HBO Max?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
There's a documentary I suggest you watch. It's called Necessary Evil. Not
Okay.
only does it talk about the different types of villains within the DC universe,
Hmm.
and I'm not saying it lists every single villain ever
Oh yeah,
within the
that'd
DC
be
universe.
like 6 hours long or something.
Yeah, no, it talks about the categories thereof
Uh,
and why and the benefits thereof. And it even talks about the whole chicken and the egg situation, like who came first, the supervillain or the superhero. Like there are some episodes and issues where characters like Bane and Riddler literally go out of their way to go to Gotham just to look for Batman and for no other reason. They're not
yeah,
pulling out some elaborate heists. They're not meeting up with other villains. They're not stealing some sort of rich enhancing gen. They're not there to kill somebody. No, they're specifically trying to meet Batman. They're trying to break him, outdo him, out anything him.
yeah. The goal ends up being the super, not the super keeping them from the goal.
Indeed, which a lot of people are saying Willem Dafoe would be a good Joker.
I could see that. I could see that. And
Yeah, no,
and
nothing's a good compliment as, wow, did you know that you'd be a great psychopath?
and then, I mean, but he is.
I mean, look,
I
I
mean,
normally don't praise live action anime. I mean, I
uh-huh.
really did enjoy the live action One Piece. I did.
I did too.
Oh, you
I
saw it.
sat down to watch
Nice.
I sat down to watch one episode and give it a try, and I just stayed there and
Who's your
watched the
favorite
whole thing.
casting?
Pardon?
Who's your favorite character casting?
Oh man, probably probably oh my goodness, why am I having a brain fart right now? The Chop Chop, the
Buggy.
clown. Buggy. I kept wanting to call him Bucky, and I was like, "Get
Because
it
they
out,
kept
Justin."
because they kept calling him different characters like Binky and Burpee.
Oh, maybe that was what was going on. But yeah, I think he was a great cast. I'm about 700 and something to 800 episodes into the anime.
Well, here's a little fun
Gr-
fact. Believe it or not, he's actually Oda's favorite villain.
really, I did not know that. That's great. Well, that would be perfect reason as to why they he was one of the first villains that, or I guess
Well, everyone's the hero in their own
antagonists.
story.
that came up in the anime. But yeah, absolutely. That like everybody's got their own
I
little
mean,
thing.
Doflamingo said it, yeah. It's like, who's to say what justice really is? Kids that have never seen war don't know what peace is.
Hmm.
Kids that don't know peace, etc., etc.
Right. Your normal level is going to dictate what's above and beyond and below that. So perspective is everything.
Right, and I don't really go by episode number. I go by saga. So can you remind me what saga you're in?
Oh goodness, I don't know the sagas. I just know the episode number. Goodness, and quite frankly, I got to that 800 zone about 3 years ago, and I haven't watched it since. I did enjoy it while I was binge watching it, but I essentially watched or had it playing while I was doing other things, dubbed, and so I watched all the dubbed stuff for that time. Um, I think I've seen what is it? I've seen him go up to third gear.
Okay,
Yeah,
third,
third
that's where
gear.
we're still pre-time skip.
Yeah,
And you're
yeah.
actually
There's
going to
none of that time.
appreciate this. With my wonderful talent skills, I was able to recruit somebody from Funimation, the
Oh,
people that actually dub One Piece.
really? Oh, that's great. I don't know how you pulled that off, but that's amazing.
My methods are my own. That's all I'm going to say.
Fair.
Side note, he is going to be voicing Maverick.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, in the upcoming episode, Wolverine's Exes.
Oh, yes. Nice. Very
Little
nice.
spoiler, Wolverine gets his own Sinister Six.
Oh, really? Oh, I love it. I love it. This is so much fun.
I mean, obviously, we all know who basically runs the Sinister Six. Sabretooth. It's like, talk about typecasting.
Uh-huh.
Every superhero has that one, or superhero, anti-hero, whatever you want to call them, has the one enemy that really helps them stand out, or a
Mhm.
group for that matter. Batman has Joker,
Yep.
Superman has Luthor,
Yep.
Wonder Woman has Cheetah.
Mhm.
Spider-Man could arguably would either be no, I would say it'd be Green Goblin. He did kill Gwen Stacy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say the DC villains are way more iconic than the Marvel ones.
Yeah, yeah. With Marvel, they do tend to run together a little bit, unless they're some of the big ones that are kind of against everybody. I mean that Thanos, at least in the comics, was a good one. I still
Yeah,
dislike the fact
I
that
don't know
Lady
what
Death
they were
wasn't even in
thinking in
there.
the movie.
Yeah.
It's like I get the concept, but
Mhm.
but just say there's no way they could say I have a boner for Lady Death. There's no way they could get away with that in the
Yeah.
movie.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, it's true.
I want peace, so I'm gonna just get rid of half the people. It's like, no, he was buying a booty call with souls. That's what he was doing.
It was true. I don't know how they were going to do it in a way that would be theatrically brilliant.
Yeah. I have a decent imagination. I'm sure I could come up with something, but it
Which,
definitely be a
funny,
rated R.
Josh Brolin, two Marvel characters.
Hmm. And
Geez, now
does that
that's
bug you?
typecasting.
Does that bug you though? Whenever there's somebody who's played two different characters in the same universe, because it bugs
We
me
had
that
Chris Sabat voice Vegeta,
yeah,
Piccolo, and Yamcha. That
yeah.
doesn't bother me.
Now see that doesn't bother me, but seeing
And we have
Chris
you
Evans,
as Beast, Toad, and Juggernaut. If you want,
yeah,
I can
yeah.
fire you from two of them.
I'd rather you not. But no, I mean, like in actual like in not with necessarily with voice acting, just in like movie series and things like that. For continuity's sake, you're seeing that person, right? You're not seeing me doing voice, so I guess I have a little bit more carte blanche on that.
Oh,
And anybody else would doing voice, but like Chris Evans doing the Human Torch back in the day, and then now he's
well, it's a
Captain America.
multiverse thing. So,
I mean, I know that's how they explain it away, but it always bugs me just a little bit. Not a lot, just a little bit.
it's funny with the amount of money they spend on making Fantastic Four movies, they could actually make a Fantastic Four.
Yeah, a good one.
Like, as long as I don't end up as the Thing, sign my ass up.
Yeah, I think I'd still be okay with being the Thing. I
I
mean,
mean, like I could seriously save a lot of my gas bill just by being the Human Torch.
oh, absolutely. Yes.
Also, a lot on gas just by flying there.
Hmm.
Like, boom, 2 everyday uses for the Human Torch. I
Yeah,
mean, that
that's one
sucks
thing.
when it rains, though.
Yeah, well, yeah, because now you're a walking steam vent.
Pretty much, unless you want to go supernova.
Yeah, and yeah, nobody wants that. That's a good reset, hard reset on everything.
Well, maybe it's like the world needs balance situation.
Oh, well, I mean, he was a little bit of a horn dog, so
He
maybe he knew who
really
Lady Death
kind
was.
of beat off a dead horse on that situation.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
it
let's
was
look at
obvious.
Thanos. He's only had one live action,
Hmm.
and countless. And I've noticed you can definitely get away more, with a lot more voice actors.
Hmm.
Like we mentioned, Joker has had a lot of voice actors:
Right.
Hamill, DiMaggio, Spiner,
Hmm.
Richardson, Tudyk. Believe it or not,
Wow.
Bennett from the Batman Brave and the Bold series.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, both live action and animated. Joker is one of the very few villains that's had a both range.
Hmm.
It just feels like every time there's a Batman has to show up, it's therefore a Joker.
Yeah, they're almost their own kind of dynamic duo.
Like the only time
Yeah.
Joker was there by himself was in the Joker movie,
Hmm.
but now it's going to be a sequel with Lady Gaga.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna
So
have to
why does
wait and
hey, who
see
wants
on
to see
that.
a musical on Stockholm Syndrome?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have to wait and see on that one.
I mean, I
I'm
like
a
her
little
work,
iffy.
but I don't really see her as an actor or actress. I honestly don't know what the term would be in this case.
Yeah, I think she did a fair job with American Horror Story.
Did she now?
Hmm.
Well,
Like she didn't blow me away, but I think she did a pretty good job.
what about people who are both voice actors and actors, like Benedict Cumberbatch? He was the
Hmm.
voice for Smaug in
Yes.
the Hobbit film, or Andy Serkis. He's done a lot of CGI work, most notably, with Gollum and
Yes.
Smeagol in the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit franchise, King Kong in the King Kong movie, and Caesar in Planet of the Apes, as well
Hmm.
as Claw.
Yep.
Which I gotta say, the best thing about the Black Panther movie is that the two token white people were also the two Tolkien white people.
Oh yes, yes,
Now,
absolutely.
I don't know if that was planned or not, but the whole interrogation scene was basically riddles in the dark.
Uh-huh. Yep. Yeah, and Andy Serkis is somebody has I have a great deal of respect for. I think like if they put him in Pirates of the Caribbean, he could play the boat and make it good. Like he could do just about anything.
I Hey, I can definitely see him being a character for one of the One Piece. I mean, it doesn't really matter who.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I just love seeing that he's
Like I could
attached to
see him being
anything.
a fish man. If you just like, hey, we're gonna have him be
Ooh.
CGI. It's like, fuck yeah, let's make that work.
Yes. Oh yeah. Where do I sign the petition to make that happen?
I mean, granted, Oda wants to minimize the CGI, but it's like, dude, it's Andy fucking Circus.
Right.
Seriously.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, Andy fucking Service. He has got he's definitely got Bill fucking Murray energy. Like you change his middle name out and it works and he's earned it.
I mean, it's like getting the keys to a. I'm not a good car. I'm not a car person. It's like getting the keys to a Mustang and not driving it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like you can't bring in something like that and then you just like, nope, I'm just gonna put it up and I'm gonna look at it. No, it was made to drive. Drive the hell out of it.
Exactly. I mean, as an art, I really do believe actors should diverse,
Mhm.
but if they do find their bread and butter, it works for them.
Yeah, I mean, if that's it, like, do whatever you're greatest at, but yeah, be diverse, like, show people that you have something else so that they don't typecast you.
Oh,
If you wanna
honestly,
typecast yourself, whatever.
though, like this conversation, I would just try to make it organic.
Mhm.
Like when I did take these, when I'm currently still taking these acting classes with Steve Bloom, he says that auditioning is the main part of the job and just say yes to everything. So
Oh,
keep all your options open. And
okay.
obviously, I'm sure there are going to be some limits you're going to say no to.
Oh, yeah, I mean, everybody's got their own lines that they need to draw in the sand, but beyond that, that's just that I mean, saying yes to stuff is how you grow, getting experiences that you didn't plan on, try things out that you never done before.
Right. But then again, you will be typecast. Like Arlie Ernie, that guy from Full Metal Jacket,
Yes, yeah.
a lot of his voiceovers
It
were
was the same
military
old drill
guys,
sergeant. Yeah, yeah.
most famously in Toy Story, and one of my favorite episodes of Invader Zim, Hobo 13.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the funny bit when he was fighting Zim, he was like, "You are the worst cadet I've ever had. Perhaps you trained me too well." What? No, you are the worst.
But, I mean, look how good he was at it. So is typecasting do you think typecasting is a bad thing? Because I think that it can work in those scenarios, but
As a
I think that
businessman, I think it works, but
yeah?
in the diverse art that is acting, voice acting,
Mhm.
theater acting, whatever type of acting it is you do,
Uh-huh.
no.
Okay. I mean,
So
I
it's a kind of a
definitely
paradox situation.
yeah, and that's what kinda sticks me up on the question. I think it's a tough question, which is a
Well, I mean,
really
let's look at
brilliant
it
to talk
this way.
about.
Mark Hamill. I'm bringing him up again. I'm going
Uh-huh.
to. But you know, I'm going to do you one better. Keith David. We mentioned him briefly.
Yes.
Okay, he and granted, I know biologically they're the same character,
Mhm.
Goliath and Thalog.
Uh-huh.
Now, obviously, we know they sound like the same individual,
Mhm.
but the way they were done, they didn't sound like the same individual. It's like Goliath, on the one hand, was this heroic, stoic character. I'm not going to kill, even others have killed, always
Yep.
protect the weak, etc., etc., etc. And then we have the other hand, we got Thalog, who's basically so morally inept.
It just a complete opposite, really.
Exactly. He's got the intelligence of Xanatos, the morals of Anton Zavarius, which another Tim Curry character, by the way,
Yep.
which I guess could go in the typecasting of English villains, and the physical attributes of Goliath.
Yeah, and like Tim Curry's one of those things what an iconic voice, not unlike uh Keith David. It's an iconic voice, but their acting ability, their inflection more than their character voice is really giving you the difference between each role that they choose
Like,
or are cast as.
I mean, if I had to pick one person that I'm going to, would be the worst actor on the show. I hate saying that because they were all phenomenal. Would be Bill Fagerbach. He voices Broadway
Oh, okay. Okay.
because everything he does, he's the fat idiot
Yeah.
that likes eating. I mean, most notably Patrick Star.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
usually his shtick.
Well, I
And
mean, even in Coach, he was that guy in person, like, not even voice acting, just in front of the camera in Coach back in the day, that he was Dauber.
it feels like his voice really doesn't change. Whereas
No.
you go for Jeff Bennett, the guy's a little voice technician.
Mhm.
But even saying that he was the worst, he still did a phenomenal job.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the whole point was to be entertained and tell a story, and he helped tell the story, and he was entertaining. That means he hit the mark.
Oh, they all did. no
Yeah.
questions asked. But
Yeah.
it feels like there's no change in his voice.
Mhm.
And when it is, you'll definitely know. But by and large, there really isn't a change in his voice.
Right.
So it is funny that this is one of the View voices that predates Patrick Star, but everybody knows him as Patrick Star.
Yeah. Well, that's like what is it? Mr. Krabs. I'll always think of the Kurgan. I don't think Mr. Krabs.
Or better yet, you can think of Wolf and Hakon.
Yeah. Yeah. God. He's done a lot more voice work than he's done like acting stuff in front of the camera. Now that I'm coming to think about it,
And a
I
lot
really
of villains.
like wow, yes, yeah, but he's got such a voice for it. My goodness. I mean, I
Lex
enjoyed seeing him in
Luthor,
Starship Troopers.
Wolf. He was the leader of the of the group in the Avatar.
Oh yes, I remember hearing him on Avatar, and I can't picture it in my head right now.
Yeah, and Korra, he was Amon's dad.
Okay, okay, yep. Goodness gracious.
He was Mr. Freeze in the Batman series, the 2004 one. Remember that?
Oh, was he Mr. Free? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was. You know, I gotta say, I appreciate Mr. Freeze's reason for being a villain,
Uh-huh.
but it's nice having a Mr. Freeze that's not all, oh, I'm trying to cure my wife's illness. It's like, no, I just wanted a fucking villain just for the sake of having a fucking villain.
Yeah. I went going around causing havoc, doing crazy shit, and
Just
just
cross.
being villainous.
It's like the Puss in Boots movie. They gave us 3 different villains that all worked well for us.
Mhm.
They gave us the I'm evil because I can be in the sense of Jack Horner.
Uh-huh.
They gave us the I don't know what I'm looking for, so I'm going to cause trouble in the
Mhm.
sense of Goldilocks, and the natural evil in the sense of death.
Yeah, which really he wasn't really that evil the whole time. Like he was just menacing for the most part.
I mean, he was trying to end Puss's
Yeah.
Puss's life, but it's kind of in his name description.
Right. Yeah, he was just doing his job. He wasn't really trying
I mean,
to
that's kind of
be
like
a bad
getting
guy.
angry at a tiger for hunting a deer.
Yeah, they're like it's gonna do it.
And even that resolve was done phenomenally.
Mhm.
Which, as long as we're picking DreamWorks, Gary Oldman also does his characters really well, villains.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm a giant fan of Gary Oldman as well. But
Whether it's Lord
and
Shen, or if you remember, do you remember that movie Quest for Camelot?
yes, yes, I do.
Yeah,
Yes, I do.
yeah. The main villain, I forget, I'm spacing on his name.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was also Gary Oldman.
Wow. And see, now he's one that he does not stick to his own voice doing stuff like that too. Like he can do a lot of different things, even in front of the camera. Fifth Element, he was kind of a country accent, you know. It reminded me a lot of something that was around the kind of the Western Louisiana, East Texas kind of thing going on. And you know, then you've got like what was it? The oh man, it was the assassin movie. Goodness gracious, Leon. Um, and he was in that, and he was a completely different guy. He's kind of more of a general American, maybe Chicagoan, possibly a little Italian accent, like big city kind of thing that you usually hear in movies and shows and stuff like that. And of course, he's a British actor. Not to mention, you know, him coming in as Gordon in the Batman series and stuff like that. Of course, that's all in front of the camera, but that just kind of goes to show if everybody only took him for what he had right there and typecast him as that, we're going to miss out on all this other stuff that he can do. And what a versatile actor he is.
Well, I think it really goes to show you, don't judge anybody by face or voice value.
Absolutely.
That said, the Harley Quinn series needs to die because I don't think I can handle Kaley Cuoco Harley Quinn anymore.
I like how adult the show is,
Oh
but
no, don't get me wrong. I'd like the adult.
uh-huh.
I mean, but it's just I grew up with the original Arlene Sorkin,
Yep.
and I've grown to love Tara Strong.
Hmm.
And hell, I like the other Big Bang girl, Harley Quinn.
Uh-huh.
But I kind of feel like Kuoko's a lot like Aquafina. They're
Okay.
you got to both see and appreciate it.
I got you. I got
Yeah,
you.
the voice is very shrill.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
It really, really is.
Yeah. It can be grating. There's not a lot of binge watching for me on that one.
No, I just see it episode by episode. You have to. It's the only way
Yeah.
you tolerate her.
Yeah.
At least with the Big Bang Theory, she's not the main focus.
No, no. And some of my favorite things is whenever she's screaming back and forth and arguing with somebody and then changes the voice and she gets that deeper kind of, scream thing. That's some of my favorite parts on Big Bang Theory that she had.
One issue I do have with the Big Bang Theory, though, they didn't highlight a lot of anime stuff. These people were
Oh,
allegedly geeks, but they focused on a lot of DC stuff.
yeah, I think they tried to make them traditional geeks instead of, I guess, the new age version of that. I guess it's new age. Heck, I don't know. I mean, I've been watching anime forever, even with Astro Boy and Speed Racer growing up. But then again, I also watched Thundercats and other stuff.
Which
I watched.
technically, yes, is an anime, because I do believe it was animated by Toei.
Oh, was it? Okay, all
I
right,
know Transformers was.
okay,
Well, the Generation 1 Transformers.
yeah, and that's the one that I watched the most of. Um, but yeah, I mean, I
Well, when
watched
you
a lot of that stuff.
it's another paradox situation.
Mhm.
Like, okay, it's like how dragons also has two definitions. Which quick shout out to Danielle Amorsino. In the East, they're more fish-like, peaceful,
Mhm.
can kind of look like Shenron.
Right.
But then in the West, they're giant reptiles, flying, breathe fire,
Yep.
kind of look like Smaug
Yep.
from the Hobbit franchise.
Yeah,
So
they're
we got that going on.
fire-breathing entities of death. They
That
will
often
bring
serve as
destruction.
a anime is kind of similar in the sense that it does have two meanings.
Mhm.
We have the Japanese original meaning, literally anything animated.
Right.
So if you are saying that Avatar: The Last Airbender is an anime, congratulations. So
Mhm.
is Flintstones, Scooby Doo, pretty much everything Hanna-Barbera has to offer,
See, I always think of anime is Japanese animation.
which is what the American
And
definition is.
yeah, yeah. And well, but see, the weird thing is, it's like, oh, what they say, like, what's French toast whenever you're in France? Is it just toast? It's that kind of thing. It's French fries over there, something different. You know what I mean? And
Well,
so,
as somebody
like,
that goes to Mitsuwa frequently, it's like we have the American crepe, which is
mhm,
like just a thin pancake.
yes,
But then you go to Mitsuwa, you got the Japanese crepe, which is more like a
uh
handheld thing. And
yeah,
yes, I'm pulling a
yeah.
you. I'm talking with my hands.
No, that's fine. That is okay. That is not a me only thing.
Well,
Um,
you referenced
and,
it, so
but yeah, that's absolutely true. So I had the privilege to go to Japan about 4 years ago, right
no kidding.
before all of the crazy stuff. Yeah, I went 2 weeks, Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, and Matsuyama. So I actually ended up having one of those, like the cone crepe with the strawberry and the cream and all that stuff.
Now I can't tell. Is that
Absolutely.
cultural appropriation?
Was it? I don't know. I was
I
just
mean, it's
trying to
enjoyable.
appreciate. But yeah,
Well,
no,
I
it's
dress up as an anime
fantastic.
character for cosplaying purposes, so who's to say what's cultural appropriation anymore?
I mean, I don't know. It's hard to tell on that kind of thing of who you're gonna offend and why.
At
I
this point,
mean,
just live your life and you offend somebody, apologize. I think that's the
there it
easiest
is.
way you can do it. But apologize, but say, oh, I'm sorry, didn't mean to offend you. But don't like,
Yeah,
oh, I'm sorry, you want a band aid? Here, have an ice cream cone.
yeah. My go-to is usually if I offend somebody, it's, hey, listen, my intention was not to offend. And let me just apologize because that I didn't intend for you to be upset about any of that stuff. And if I need to change my behavior just going forward, and you're going to clue me into something I wasn't aware of, then I can change for the better.
That way we
And
can both save a trip to human resources.
there it is. Yeah.
I don't want to go there. You don't want to go there. They don't even want to be there.
No, there's no sense in
Which,
going to the
speaking of,
miserable place.
hey, which I gotta say, Archer, the Archer cast.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if they were typecasted, but they've done a phenomenal job with that series.
Oh yeah. I mean, every single character that you see,
Aisha
illustrated,
Taylor,
animated,
Judy Greer,
they match perfectly.
even Keith David in the one episode.
Yep. Same with Rick and Morty, him playing the president. Perfect.
Which now that I'm thinking about it, that show's gonna be weird. Now that we no longer have Roland.
Yep. Real weird.
In the sense that he's not going to be writing, or I mean, maybe they're going to do the same thing that they did in Solar Opposites.
Maybe. I don't know. I know that for that game, what was that weird space game that was like had all the voices in it? There was a guy that I had followed on TikTok that was a really, really close voice match to Justin Roiland whenever it came to those kind of characters, and he did some pickup work for that game, and nobody knew the difference.
Well, there you go. But if we're going to go the Simpsons route, Dan Castellaneta has voiced a shit ton.
Oh yeah,
of the guys.
A metric shit ton.
And not to mention from the Simpsons, he's also voiced characters from other shows too. He was the grandfather in Hey Arnold.
Uh-huh.
He was Megavolt in Darkwing Duck. What else was he in?
Oh man. Oh my goodness. I think it's getting too late. I'm drawing blanks on everything now.
Yeah, but he was definitely in other stuff. Oh, he was the genie for the second movie and the series. Believe it or not. The Return of Jafar?
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought the second movie was Jafar coming back as the dark genie or whatever.
Yeah, no. I'm talking about when Blue Genie comes back.
Oh.
Yeah, that was Castellaneta.
Did I may have never seen that.
If you have Disney Plus, check it out. It's
okay.
He's a good substitute, but not as good as Robin Williams. But I will say he's one of the better He was one of the better genies. I would say Williams, Monroe Iglehart, the Japanese one, then Castellaneta, then the other Broadway version, and then all the way on the bottom is Will Smith. And no, my feelings on this were pre-Oscar.
Yeah. Mine too.
Yeah. That may be his greatest role. Bitch slapping Chris Rock.
Yeah. Although when I did see the Aladdin movie with him in it, and Jafar come up, I was like, oh shit, it's Drake's stand-in. I don't know what about that gentleman. He did a fine job acting it or whatever, but on first glimpse, I was like, that looks like Drake's stand-in, and that is hilarious to me.
Well, let's call it. I mean, Will Smith is another character that doesn't really typecast. He was a fish. He was a genie. He was an alien bounty hunter. We're going to call him that.
Yeah, fair.
He was a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Whatever you want to call him. He always played himself.
Yes. Yeah.
Like,
it was
the only
definitely a
exception
different version of himself.
Is The Pursuit of Happiness. I am going to give him some slack on that. He did a nice job on that.
Yeah.
But he brought his kid into it, so.
Yeah. I feel like there was that weird era where he was just basically self-producing or co-producing stuff just to get his kids into the business.
Yeah, there's another one, After Earth or something.
On. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. I think it was After Earth because they landed and it was him and his kid and it was his actual son.
Yeah, those were some weird was a weird era for
we're
Will
just
Smith
seeing you
movies.
throw like millions at a project to be in it, and it's just like, hey, how much on this check is the cost of nepotism? Because I'm gonna write this out with as many zeros as you need.
I would have said
Um,
narcissism, but nepotism also works.
yeah, well, the age of him trying to get his kid into everything, but yes, yeah,
I mean, well, what about the girl from Misery? Would you say she got
Kathy Bates.
typecast? Yeah, Kathy Bates.
I actually don't think that she's been like really super typecasted because I've seen her in
Well,
a lot
I've
of
really
a lot
seen
of
her
different
in
things.
3 roles: Misery, of course,
Uh-huh.
Waterboy,
Hmm.
and The Big Bang Theory as Amy's mom.
And so she was another one that was also in American Horror Story,
Is that
and
so?
was yes. So she
Wait,
played
Amy or Kathy Bates?
Kathy Bates.
Okay.
Yeah, she played a basically a plantation owner, or her husband was, but then she was put in charge of it. And this is a real thing around New Orleans. And she would just torture slaves and things like that under her house.
Well, first
She
off, we say New Orleans.
New Orleans.
Yeah, you
Oh well, if you
combine the
can't, yeah, I didn't
words.
know we was doing that.
Thank you. Secondly, if the voice actor for Gambit goes tits up, you have the role.
Oh, thanks, appreciate that.
Third, really?
Yeah,
Huh. All right.
yeah. I mean, I'm from down there, so
No, I mean the
I.
whole Kathy Bates thing. There's no
Oh, I'm
reason
sorry.
why I wouldn't believe you. Like, you have
Oh,
no reason to lie to me.
no, yeah. Yeah, but she played a really good part in that. And it's just one of those things that I've seen her in a lot of stuff. So even whenever she was the Waterboy's mom, right? That was a way different role
But
than
she was
Misery.
controlling, like she was in Misery.
I don't think she was controlling like she was in Misery, and I think that some of that
Yeah,
kind of
but the
stuff
fact
just
they're
goes
saying
to
like
writing.
she was in Misery means
Mhm.
she was still kind of controlling.
She was, and that was a common thing. And so, actually, you're making me realize even right now that that was part of her character in American Horror Story as well. And it was even her part of her character whenever she was on The Office as the printer, whatever the
Oh
fax
yeah, I
machine, or whatever
forgot she was
the
in The
yeah,
Office.
and she was very controlling and domineering and things like that there as well. So, I mean, I'm gonna have to step back on my point because I think you got it. You nailed it. She is kind of typecast, and I did not even realize.
It's cool, dude. I mean, a lot of people don't always see it
Hmm.
until you realize the roles they've been in.
Yeah,
Like Danny DeVito, he's always the weird, short, loud guy. Whether you see
yeah,
him as the Penguin in The Return of the Batman or in
right.
Sunny in Philadelphia,
Uh huh. Or Hercules, the
Hercules.
animated. Yeah,
Which,
yeah,
side note, the only way I'm on board for live action Hercules is if they get Danny DeVito.
yeah. I want a Danny DeVito satyr. That's what I want.
That's it. Those are
Yeah.
my only guidelines.
Before he's too old and
No,
passes.
I don't need a Josh Gad. I
Yeah,
don't need a Seth Rogen going. No, I don't need that. I don't need a fucking Jack Black satyr. No,
yeah,
Danny DeVito, or I will find a way to boycott Disney. I
yeah.
don't care how.
DeVito or bust, man. That's
I
my
think
picket
we're
sign.
like. I mean, I don't even care if you get freaking Tom Hiddleston as Loki. Not
Uh-huh.
Loki. What's the other? Hades.
Yes, yeah,
Like, seriously, I don't care about that. I
no.
mean, oh, who's the original guy?
That was
He was also in Family Guy.
yes, yeah, it was J-
James Woods.
James Woods. Yep,
Yeah, look, I don't care about that. You can just keep Danny DeVito.
yep,
That's my one
absolutely.
rule,
Yeah.
which is fair.
I think so. I think so. I mean, I think they shouldn't do it at all if they
Which, let
can't do
me
that.
ask you something. Do you think popularity leads to typecasting?
Uh, Actually, yes.
I mean, let's look at the
Yes, I do.
90s.
Yeah.
Danny DeVito, very big in the 90s.
Mhm.
He was in he was in the Renaissance era.
Mhm.
Boom. Jeremy Irons, big 90s actor.
Right.
Boom. The Lion King. Same with Matthew Broderick.
Mhm.
Who else we got?
I mean, Hell, I mean, one of the if you're talking about the '90s, Schwarzenegger,
Oh,
like he will never
wait,
not be the big tough
two of the
guy.
Seinfeld actors were in Disney movies as well.
Now I know that Seinfeld did the B movie, but was that Disney?
No, that was DreamWorks, I think.
Okay.
And what you call it? Jason Alexander was one of the gargoyles in Hunchback of Notre Dame,
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, okay.
and Newman, his actor, I'm spacing on.
Right, right.
He was the elephant in Tarzan.
Was he?
He was.
Okay. All right. Huh.
I mean, hell, if we're looking for the modern era, that's why we have freaking Aquafina as that dragon in Ryan the Last Dragon movie.
Yeah.
And that's why we had Idris Elba as that buffalo in the previous decade.
Oh, yeah. Man. Yeah, I mean, you may have a point there. Maybe popularity is really the driving force, at least in the industry, the mainstream industry, for typecasting. Whatever we saw you
At
do once
least in
well,
this, at
you're gonna
least
have to
in the
do it a million times.
states, anyway.
Well, yeah, yes, of course, yeah. I mean, yeah, like when you think of Hollywood or whatever you want to call it, the actual like movie, the entertainment, the cartoon industry, whatever it is, on the big times, I feel like they get somebody that does it good one time, whatever that may be,
Like
whatever that it is, and they're like, "Do it
how
forever."
hard can we milk this actor?
Yes, it's like I see a cash cow, and let's just start milking,
Like,
buddy.
you remember when Megan Fox was a thing?
Oh yeah,
How hard did we milk her?
I mean, I
We got
didn't,
two
but
Transformers movies out of her. We got Jonah Hill,
mhm,
and we got Jennifer's Body out of her.
right.
Those are some pretty decent skin showing movies of her.
Yep, she had just that. She kinda had her looks, and that was it.
Incidentally, check out Jennifer's Body deleted scene Bill Fagerbach.
Okay,
And you'll thank me later.
okay.
But yeah, I think I do. I'm not patting my own back here. Popularity is definitely a driving force for any actor,
Well,
more
yeah,
so than a voice
yeah.
actor.
I mean, I think anytime that you're trying to act for a career, and it's not just for fun, and it's not just a hobby, and you're really trying to make something out of it, popularity should be a goal, whether you're a voice actor or a regular actor, only because that drives up your options. More people want to kind of fight over you, and they want you in their projects. And if you're wanting to work and that's a career, I think everybody in that
I'm
zone
going to
would do it.
take that back for a second
Hmm.
because you have seen Jackie Chan Adventures, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you remember season 2?
Oh goodness, it all kind of runs together. It's been forever.
Shendu's siblings?
Were they the twins?
No, they were all demons.
Oh yes, yes. Okay, I got you.
Okay, you know how one of them sounds exactly like Claw from Inspector Gadget?
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah,
It is that person.
that's because he was voiced by Frank Welker.
But maybe I
So I
think
think
that
that's one of
sometimes.
those typecasting. It's like, okay, can we get Frank Welker for this?
Mhm.
Yes, but he's getting expensive, so that's why we can only have him for 3 episodes.
Yeah. So I guess that can hurt. I guess certain the budget on certain things where people would want to have somebody, but they're too popular. Well, then they cost too much to be part of the project. Man, chicken or the egg, double-edged sword. Goodness gracious.
So many things we can and apparently have look at.
Yeah.
But is it harmful to the industry? I mean, there's so many types you can go for.
Right.
Like, let's face it. Way back when, we really didn't care about who we offended. We had racism. We
Hmm.
used the R word more times than I can count,
Oh yeah.
etc., etc.
Yeah.
Nowadays, we're very more politically, I don't want to say politically correct because I really hate that term.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
gonna
think
say
that's in use anymore.
politically aware.
Okay.
That sounds better.
Okay.
On top of that, I'm gonna say that we're definitely more neurodiverse.
Absolutely.
So, and well, I'm definitely noticing a lot more trans individuals. I haven't seen a lot of characters that would fit, like, say, neurodiverse categories. Like, the only films that you mentioned were What's Eating Gilbert Grape or
Yeah.
Forrest Gump
Right.
or the like they were I think those maybe like those are the really only big two.
I mean, Rain Man was
Or
is what
Rain
sticks
Man.
out to me, you know.
Those are like the only three films that really tackle that, at least in the States.
Yeah.
But it feels like nowadays everything needs to be non-binary.
Right. Yeah, everything's got to be super neurodivergent, super non-binary. Let's go to a middle ground on everything. Or even when you talk about like neurodivergence or even autism or things like that. Oh my goodness,
Which,
what
for
is
the
that
record,
picture?
I'm not shitting on. This is just
Oh no, not at all.
I'm acknowledging,
Yeah.
like maybe we're trying to find new categories. That are we trying to typecast them, or
I think that's more honestly. I feel like, and a lot of especially the non-binary things like that. You're kind of putting a box around yourself while trying to open that up. When it comes to the entertainment industry, going towards that kind of thing, only because then you have limits. Whenever you give something a title, you'll have a limit. And where some of these remakes, for instance, that are becoming more diverse, I love seeing more diversity in films and things like that. But
well, I'm
whenever they
gonna
do it with
well,
remakes,
hang
they
on.
don't
I'm
make as much
gonna
money.
well, hang on. Titles. What do you mean by that?
So like if they say like, okay, we're gonna make a diverse film or whatever, um, that's where now suddenly you feel obligated to have this person or that person or someone who looks like this and that instead of who's gonna be right for a role. And I think sometimes that mistake happens. Not all the time, but sometimes it does.
Thank you. Everywhere you go, everywhere you see, every place is applauding. They're patting their own back for
Mhm.
diversity. South Park has even done it. They
Yeah.
invite the blacks to their own house, and no, I'm not being racist. That's actually their last name.
Mhm.
The Token and his family to their house, and Randy, because he's Randy, check out our friends.
Uh-huh.
They're celebrating all their diversity, which business wise I do,
Yeah.
but it's like, okay, so they're black, they're gay, they're female, they're non-binary, they're kosher. Who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
Does that change who they are?
Yep.
Like
And I think you're still human. So
right.
just be a human being,
Well,
you
except those
know?
people that identify as cats, but that's a whole different situation. But let me ask you
Yeah.
something. Did you know that the person who played Kobe in the live action One Piece was transgender?
Oh, I did not.
And they didn't focus on that.
No, they didn't.
And that's why it was
That's
done really
great.
well.
That's great.
In fact, many of the series that I've watched do have transgender characters,
Mhm.
but that's not the highlight of their existence.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
not something I will entirely understand. But you know what? It's whatever. But as long as you don't highlight the whole reason of that, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think when it comes an overarching thing that surpasses any level of story or performance, that's where it begins to grate. I think that whenever you can have these folks in here that need to actually be part of things, I don't think you should exclude someone because of any sort of preference to live their own life in a certain way, feeling a need to do so, or however it needs to be put to be not totally offensive, because I'm not trying to be offensive in saying that. And no matter what race, religion, creed, whatever, if that is the overarching thing when there's supposed to be a regular storyline there or a storyline about a specific topic, and then this overarches it, I think that's where you start losing people. And I think for anybody and indie individuals that are a part of certain groups of people that feel like they've been marginalized, why don't we get together and write stories for those people
Well,
instead
the
of
problem
having something
is
else?
people just want to go out of their way to say, like, as a Dragon Ball fan, I cannot
Mhm.
tell you how many times people are looking for representation in anime. I'm like, that's the problem. You are thinking within an American mindset.
Yeah.
When you see a Western character, like just off the top of my head, um,
I always
okay,
expected Mr. Satan to be a Western character.
no, not Mr. Sane. I'm just trying to think of a good character that we know everything about.
Okay.
Like, okay, like let's say the pickles from what you call it, the pickles from the Rugrats. Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
they're a
Yeah.
Caucasian family.
Mhm.
Dee Dee is Jewish.
Right.
Um, the dad, they never said what type of Christianity he is, but
Mhm.
they celebrate Christmas, so he's definitely something.
Right.
He's got purple hair, but I'm not going to dress the elephant in that room.
Yeah.
So, but we know what they are,
Mhm.
but that's not all they are. There's
Right.
obviously more to them. She's a teacher, he's a toy inventor. They
Mhm.
have two wonderful kids.
Mhm.
And then we have the anime characters. The One Piece crew, for example, they're diverse.
Mhm.
They're their own group of characters. The only reason we know what ethnicities they are is because of an SBS. Each character was mentioned. Um, Luffy is Brazilian.
Right.
Um, Zoro is Japanese.
Mhm.
Nami is Swedish. Usopp is South African, I believe.
I think so. Yep.
Sanji is
Right.
French. Chopper would be Canadian.
Yes.
Uh, Robin is Russian.
Yep.
Frankie is American because you know how loud us Americans are.
Yeah.
Apparently,
What they
Brooke
think that
is
we are.
Brooke is Austrian, and
Okay.
Jinbei is Indian.
Okay. Yep. I remember Jinbei being Indian. All right. Yeah.
I mean, I thought he would have been Polynesian with the whole whale shark thing.
You'd think.
Yeah, you'd think, but hey, I'm not Ichiro Oda.
Yeah.
But whatever. The point is that you never really get into these characters. They still have their own thing. They were never really highlighted. The One Piece world exists as is.
Mhm.
That's the great thing about anime. It doesn't go into ethnicity. It doesn't go into all these other things. I mean, granted, a lot of times it takes place in Japan anyway, so why
Right.
would
Yeah.
it need to?
Yeah.
But when it does, it doesn't highlight it.
No. No. And it really doesn't. I mean,
I mean, I hope
going back.
that's. But then, to be fair, Japan is more of a conservative country than the states are.
Yeah, in some ways they are, in other ways they're not. I mean, it's very much its very own culture. It doesn't really apply to many other places that I'm aware of. You
No,
could
it's like
cut them over or like cookie cutter them, put them somewhere else, and it just works.
thinking with an American mind about anime is like taking a German for a big hamburger,
Mhm.
and when he thinks of a big hamburger, it's just he thinks it's a wide burger.
Uh-huh.
But to an American, a big would be tall burger.
Right.
So you obviously see the differences.
Yep. And so, socially and through that culture, they all have a very similar perspective. And that's what we're looking at is how different perspectives, do that can affect the way that you see those kind of things. Even with typecasting, I think that it's all about perspective. If somebody sees somebody and says, "Well, that's all I want them to do," Well, there it is. Now they may be good at it, but they might be able to do something else too. And also going back with the Dragon Ball thing, I actually know more. I have more black friends, and I'm not also not trying to be racist to say that.
Are
But
they black?
they are in fact African American, black,
Then how's that
however you want to call
racist?
that. Because honestly, I don't trust myself anymore. I don't intend anything like that, but there's so many
Disney
new
Plus has a
rules.
section for black stories and LGBTQ stories and strong female leads. Oh
Okay,
yeah, you're the racist one.
so I guess I'm safe. I don't know. I get nervous about that kind of stuff sometimes because I
Look,
don't want to
please,
be
the whole
mean.
concept of what is racist, what isn't racist, that
Mhm.
keeps changing back and forth. As long as you don't drop the N word, you're good
Oh
to go.
no, goodness no.
So you have
But
friends
yeah,
who just happen to be black.
right. They are probably the biggest fans of Goku and Dragon Ball. And I say Goku and Dragon Ball series because they like Goku is who they looked up to as a kid watching it, growing up and things like that.
You know, that does remind me of a funny thing I saw on the internet. I saw a picture of the Little Mermaid, the reboot,
Uh-huh.
the Black Little Mermaid,
Uh-huh.
and a picture of three black girls saying, "That's me," because they see themselves literally in the literal sense.
Right.
And then you see a picture of Goku on the bottom. And then
Uh-huh.
you see a black kid, you see a Hispanic kid, a Chinese kid, a white kid, and then they're
Yeah.
all saying, "That's me."
Yeah, we all did it, and he's obviously like not really dark of skin. So how,
He's
if
an
all those
alien. I just
rules,
find it funny that a lot of these aliens
yeah,
do look like, well, human.
yeah. But if all those rules were like really hard rules,
No.
then why is it that we all coming from different backgrounds and looking so different still like find these similarities and say we're him, you know?
I think that's a question we really need to ask ourselves. But more importantly, I just hope Snow White doesn't get the woke treatment that's being rumored to happen.
Oh, she'd die on the bed because they could never get, the approval for the
Yes, and
kiss
instead
kind
of
of thing.
seven dwarfs, because they don't want to height shame everybody,
Mhm.
they're seven elves.
Wow, I had not heard that yet. I did
Oh
hear
yeah,
that
I
a
made
lot of
that up, by
people.
the way.
Oh, okay. I did hear that a lot of people who were acting like little people, maybe they have dwarvism or something like that, but they were
So
small
really, you
people.
don't storm Lord of the Rings, or you don't storm frickin' The Hobbit? Really, that's where you draw the line in the sand?
No. I mean, so that yes, they also like they made people look short in Lord of the Rings and things like that, but it seems like that they're really upset. That community of people is very, very upset with this new thing coming out because they didn't use any people that were small people.
Didn't they make an Annie movie with the black girl a
I
while
think
back?
so. Yes, because I think Jamie Foxx was Daddy Warbucks.
Yeah, and you're Ginger. How come that doesn't piss you off?
Oh, I don't much care,
Yeah,
really.
yeah, case in point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just don't care.
So that's just something that I think we all really need to think about. I do believe, to some degree, physical aspects should play a part in it. Like, if a movie's going to take place in China, you're obviously not going to have a bunch of white people there.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, you don't want
Oh,
that whole thing like from, what was it, Short Circuit, where the dude had the brown face and he was doing the Indian accent and things like that. You don't wanna have a bunch of that instead of people who are actually ethnically correct for the role.
no, unless you want to do it like a what if, and that's how we get a white Black Panther.
Yeah.
I mean, hey,
What
that's
would
how we got a Black Star Lord.
I don't think I've even seen the Black Star-Lord.
Oh yeah, it was a what if on Disney Plus.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
But hey, weird things have happened. Hasselhoff forever. Which, gotta say, no disrespect to Bozeman, I've always thought the Wakanda Forever symbol really
Mhm.
confusing. This feels more like the X-Men symbol.
Oh, okay, a
It's a
little bit.
literal X.
Yeah, I think it's more about the chest thing than the formation of the
Yeah, but
arms.
shouldn't it be like a W, like a Wakanda forever?
I
And
don't
that way
know.
it also looks like you're flexing.
I think that would be cool.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think W hand signs or arm signs or something like that. I always think about Wu Tang. Yeah, like it's for the
Yeah,
children. There it is.
who knows anymore? But whether you're looking at it physically, vocally, creating, just being popular at the moment, or even from other countries, typecasting does have its negative and positive effects. So, Justin, thank you for being here today.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. It's a joy as always.
Anything else to say for the crowd before we head out?
No, I think I have rambled on quite enough, but thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Until then, stay geeky.